Welcome everyone to the Walleye Tank. You're on mute.
I am.
There you go.
All right. Keep up here. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Walleye Tank Spring 2021 Life Sciences Pitch Competition presented by the University of Minnesota Venture Center and the Mayo Clinic Office of Entrepreneurship.
You're on mute. It's me. Sorry.
Okay.
I can't turn my...
Okay, got it. I'm Mary McCarthy, Senior Program Manager in the Venture Center, where we facilitate launching 18 to 20 startups per year with 2/3 in the life sciences. I'm emceeing today while my friend Dr. Raina Hale with the Mayo Clinic will be managing the competition. Walleye Tank began in 2016. It is held twice a year, and this is the 11th Walleye Tank. So much has happened in a year. Last May, when we had Walleye Tank scheduled and then canceled it and then relaunched it, it ended up attracting 650 people from around the world looking for hope and connection. Thank you to the healthcare systems of the Mayo Clinic, mHealth Fairview, and everywhere for caring for us through this difficult time and always. Then during last December's Walleye Tank, innovative vaccine scientists and manufacturers were working day and night to finish clinical work and scaling up manufacturing. Now most of us have at least one vaccine dose. Hospitals and hospitalizations and deaths are trending down. Belief in science is on the rise, and startups are persevering through it all. Every entrepreneur starts with an idea, a dream, and then some sort of a plan. Today, you'll hear from 17 bold entrepreneurs as they compete for walleye trophies, startup support, and bragging rights. While we have professional judges evaluating the pitches, we encourage you to judge them too, with polls at the end of each division. Evaluate the problems, solutions, teams, and the plans. Is the problem urgent? Is the solution innovative? Was the pitch clear, convincing, and well delivered? The poll will ask which startup had the most persuasive pitch, and we'll have polls for each division and an overall poll at the end. Let's see how you do versus the judges. Dr. Stephen Ecker at Mayo will be facilitating the official judging process and announcing the prizes and the winners at the end. We have 10 awesome judges from Boston Scientific, Biotechny, Carlson School of Management, Mayo Clinic Ventures, United Health Group, the College of Biological Sciences, Osage University Partners, UEL, College of St. Kate's, and the University of Minnesota's new ATP Bio organization. The judges will introduce themselves before each round in each division. But before and between the pitches, we'll have several speakers to keep the community updated, including Regent James Farnsworth, Executive Director Rick Hipsch, Executive Director Neela Molgard, VP of Intelligence at Medical Alley Frank Jaskulke, the head of Minnesota's SBIR and STTR program, Pat Dillon, the university's Dr. Carla Pavone, and Dr. Charles Bruce of the Mayo Clinic. But first, I have the honor of welcoming the first regent ever to speak at Walleye Tank, and it's his very first appearance ever as a regent. Regent James Farnsworth represents the 4th Congressional District and lives in St. Paul. James is the Executive Director of the Highland Business Association and an avid community volunteer. Previously, he served in various roles in nonprofits, state government, and the private sector. James serves on the Board of Directors and Governance Committee of CAPI, an immigrant and refugee support organization. He also serves on the school committee of the Friends of the School of Minnesota, a K-8 school in St. Paul. In addition to board service, James is actively involved as a year-round advisor and volunteer with the YMCA Center for Youth Voice. He can frequently be found organizing community events and lately procuring and delivering supplies to Brooklyn Center. James has completed coursework in human resource development in the College of Education and Human Development at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. He's also one of my daughter Sabrina's 2 housemates for 2 years at the U. Welcome, Regent James Farnsworth to Walleye Tank. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Thank you, Mary, and I'm really glad to be with all of you today. And I believe you 11th Walleye Tank as one of the newly elected members of the Board of Regents. And I'm going to reference my notes a little bit because there's a number of stats and a number of titles I want to make sure to be accurate about. So what's exciting about this is Minnesotans have built a rich life sciences and biotech ecosystem with more than 1,000 life sciences and healthcare companies in our state, including 3M, Boston Scientific, Ecolab, and United Healthcare, to name a few. I'm sure those are all very familiar to this group. One thing I wanted to highlight, and I'm sure is also familiar, is that like most important industry clusters around the world, there's often an academic anchor at the core of that ecosystem, and that's where we come in. So here we have the University of Minnesota, which is a nationally leading research university where we have top clinicians, scientists, and engineers working across many disciplines. And we're very lucky to be able to do that, this event being a great example of that, to be able to do that work in partnership with the Mayo Clinic, which is ranked the #1 hospital in the US, and of course is known as a world-renowned research powerhouse. The university's academic community is increasingly connected to the private sector, and this is where the stats come in that I was talking about. So we've had 180 plus startup companies that have spun out of the University of Minnesota since 2006. 75% of those companies are still around, and 75% are based in Minnesota, which I think is fantastic. Together, they've raised more than $1 billion in venture capital, public offerings, and purchases. A majority of those companies have something to do with healthcare, and you'll be hearing a few of them pitch today. We have Thrioxy, Grip Molecular, Habit Camera, and Austin Biosciences, just to name a few. Habit Camera was developed amidst veterans for all patients at the VA hospital by researchers holding dual appointments. Our university has always been a key source of talent for Minnesota's companies, and of course we take that role very seriously, and it's a huge honor. From creative folks to inventors to managers, and the university is increasingly sharing what it knows about startups and bringing inventors to market with a wider community in the state of Minnesota. Through the Minnesota Venture Builders Program, our Technology Commercialization Office, and the Gary S. Holmes Center for Entrepreneurship, we are partnering with the state's Launch Minnesota program to educate entrepreneurs across the state with the free tools, knowledge, and the connections they need to be successful. Through a recent grant from Launch Minnesota, Technology Commercialization has opened up their successful incubator to help 5 entrepreneur teams from outside the university develop their businesses. As a executive director of a business association, today's event and these topics are personally fascinating to me, so I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And as Mary mentioned, my first speaking engagement as a regent about a little over 4 weeks into the job. I'm excited to be here today to listen to your pitches and viewing your presentations, and I wish the best of luck to all the teams presenting today. Thank you.
You're muted, Mary. It's okay. It's just the beginning. We'll get going.
There's too many things to keep track of. Sorry. Where was I now? I look forward to showing James around our office when we're back on campus this fall and introducing him to many of my colleagues. One of them is the Executive Director of Technology Commercialization, Rick Hipsch, who's our next speaker. Rick is also on the advisory board of Launch Minnesota. Rick, please take the floor.
Thank you, Mary. Glad to be here today and to welcome all of you to the Walleye Tank. It's actually great weather for walleye fishing, but we're going to be doing some inside work today. As Mary mentioned, I'm Rick Hipsch, the Executive Director of Technology Commercialization. Happy to partner with Mayo and others to bring you this program today. And I think it's, as many people have said, it's a great opportunity to showcase our young startups across the state of Minnesota and hopefully bring both the startups and those of you in the audience some good opportunities, no matter what your role. Kudos to Mary and to Rena and Stephen Ecker for all the hard work on the logistics, and to our excellent set of volunteer judges, otherwise known as the Walleyes. So a couple of brief updates on the university. In the spring here, the students are finishing up their spring semester, and the university is well in planning for the fall students, the fall programming to be in person. So we hope that we're back to full strength in the fall. Our research team, which we work very closely, a set of researchers did a sunset, I guess you would say, in March of last year. And as Mary mentioned, we were able to still put together a walleye tank event, but it's really been a gradual sunrise for the researchers to bring them back to campus and to conduct the research that's so valuable to all of you and to us in the tech commercialization office. Our office has continued to be very busy, still working from home, but very, very active. Didn't really pause at all. The invention input that we get from the researchers has been down just slightly over last year, but that's been rebounding very nicely. But that's really not surprising since we're kind of at the tail end of that research. But we're definitely a very strong and robust startup pipeline, and that's been very nice to see. We manage lots of different activities in the pipeline. Maybe a little bit of a slowdown in getting the finalization of the launch, but by and large, still very strong, and the University of Minnesota research community is very strong with a good spirit of entrepreneurship. As Mary said, we typically get 15 to 20 startups a year, and I think we're well within that range by the end of the fiscal year, which for us goes from July 1st to June 30. So we're in good shape there. And we've had some recent good news from some of our startups that have been out 5+ years, which tells us that we, together with our researchers, have been doing a good job getting the right kind of startups out there and trying to make them successful. So I think a lot of the programming at the university that Regent Farnsworth mentioned, the Discovery Launchpad, the Discovery Capital Program, the MinCore program that we work on with the Home Center, these are all things that have really helped the ecosystem at the university, but also strengthened our startups with good kind of training and backing and connections and mentoring that they need. Most of the other topic I was going to mention is already been covered, and that's our involvement in the Launch Minnesota effort. I think Executive Director Neela Molgard will be next, but we've collectively made great progress, and the university is really all in with our offerings to that program. We believe that it's clearly the rising tide floats all boats higher mentality. We believe the state of Minnesota, not just the Twin Cities, but the state of Minnesota is strengthening those connections, and the university is participating that in several ways. And I'm honored to be on the board of directors for that effort, Launch Minnesota effort. In case you haven't heard yet today about Minnesota Cups, the applications close, I believe it is today, the 16th. So that's another effort that the Home Center puts together as part of the University of Minnesota's offerings to the state of Minnesota. So hopefully there's some of the presenters today that are also completing their Minnesota Cup applications. And just kind of to close, it's great momentum that we have here in the state of Minnesota, and great momentum at the University of Minnesota in our startup ecosystem. So thank you, and back to you, Mary.
Okay, there we go. I'm back. Hi. The last speaker before the competition begins is a friend to over 90 startups who have received Launch Minnesota grant funding. Please welcome Neela Molgard, Executive Director of Deeds Launch Minnesota. Hi, Neela.
Hello. Thank you, Mary. Greetings. It's wonderful to be joining all of you today. Launch Minnesota is housed in Minnesota's State Agency for Employment and Economic Development. We are working with our partners to create an environment to support our entrepreneurs and nurture our tech startups with the goal of fostering a thriving innovation ecosystem across the state. We do this by focusing on 3 key goals. First, increase access to capital through our grants, the Angel Tax Credit, and working with private investors. Second, we are creating a collaborative and attractive culture for our startup community. And third, we are working with partners to grow entrepreneurial talent and expertise. Today, the Walleye Tank is a perfect example of Minnesota's strong and robust startup community. The event highlights Minnesota's innovators conquering life-saving advancements in healthcare and medical technology. And it also includes multiple public and private organizations from different cities coming together to remove barriers in launching new technologies. I'd like to share a story from one of our founders who I've been recently in communication with, In Control Health. She is a Launch Minnesota grantee. I think it illustrates the doors that have been opened through greater access and opportunity once she was connected to Minnesota's startup community. And here are just a few of the examples. First, she learned about MN, SBIR, STTR Accelerator, and with Pat Dillon, she's already submitted a federal grant, and Pat introduced her to the Capita 3 training program. She was accepted into the new University of Minnesota Discovery Launchpad MN. She was connected to Frank Duskalski with Medical Alley through Minnesota's new mentoring platform, and was able to pitch to the new VC Groove Capital, which was a valuable experience for her, and now understands the process and is taking advantage of Minnesota's Angel Tax Credit. I believe her story and her journey really shows the depth and connectivity of Minnesota's diverse ecosystem. Entrepreneurs that are listening today, I hope you do not feel alone in your journey. Launch Minnesota, the organizations and individuals that are part of today's event and others across the state are here to support you and are working together to help you succeed. I wish all of you the best of luck today during your pitches, and I will give it back to you, Mary. Thank you so much.
Okay, this is going to be a quick handoff. Thank you, Neela. I just have to say that Launch Minnesota has been instrumental in so many startups, and I really appreciate your leadership and everything you're doing to help connect and fund as much as you can each of Minnesota's startups. You're great. All right, let the competition begin. I'm going to hand it over to my friend Raina, who's going to tee up the first division within Walleye Tank Spring 2021. See you later.
Jess, can I have you join the platform as well? And with our very first judge on deck, I would like to welcome Lindsay Hildheim. And from ATP Bio, go ahead and turn your camera and microphone on, and you can join me up on stage. While we're waiting, Jess here is going to be the one timing everyone and keeping everyone on track. So she's going to be our timekeeper for today. As you watch, you will notice her. Go ahead, Lindsay, share your background.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Hillsheim. I'm the Director of Strategic Partners and Innovation at ATP Bio. Because I think Mary mentioned earlier, I'll just tell you that AT Bio stands for Advanced Technologies for the Preservation of Biological Systems. It's a new NSF-funded engineering research center headquartered at the University of Minnesota, and it just launched this past summer. It's all about technologies to stop biological time, and we work from preserving cells on up to organs on chips, to whole organs, to whole organisms. So it's an exciting area. So look forward to maybe some of our ATP Bio startups showing up here someday.
Well, welcome, Lindsay. Margalit Haber, you are our second judge for the juniors. Would you turn off your microphone and like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks so much. So yeah, my name is Margalit. I'm an associate at Osage University Partners, OUP for short. We're a VC fund located in Philadelphia focused on university startups. We're partnered with over 100 universities right now, including the University of Minnesota. We invest in both life science and tech. I'm on the life science team, and we're right now investing out of our third fund. And we love participating in events like this and getting exposed to all the different startups at our different university partners. So thank you so much for inviting me, and looking forward to the presentations.
Thanks, Margalit. Diane, you are our final judge for the junior anglers. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I would. Thank you so much, Raina. It's a pleasure to be here today. My name is Diane Rucker, and I lead University Enterprise Labs, which is separate from the university, but we're an incubator for startups in life sciences, biotech, in med tech, and med devices. So I'm very excited to be here. The Walleye Tank is a fantastic opportunity, not only for the startups in our region to get a chance to pitch, to show the incredible things that we're doing, but also a chance for all of us to see what's happening behind the scenes and to share in their excitement. So I look forward to the pitches today. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thanks so much. All right, so kicking us off today is Marpam Pharma. So Maria, would you please turn on your camera and your microphone and go ahead and share your screen?
All right. Well, we're Marpam Pharma. We're developing a one-time treatment for HIV.
Hold on just a second, Maria.
Okay.
You are on a blip and I want to give you as much time. Your full 2 minutes. And I also want to introduce you. Well, so Maria Anthonisi is the CEO and co-founder of Marpam Pharma. Marpam Pharma was formed out of the University of Minnesota. They're grad school mates, her and Pam Skinner. And the company is developing a cure for HIV. When you are ready, Maria, your time will start.
Okay, thank you. We're developing a one-time treatment for HIV that's considered a cure strategy. There's a critical need for therapies that will replace the standard of care. The standard of care is a combination of antiretroviral therapies that require daily, lifelong adherence to be effective. It's costly and has serious long-term side effects. This is not a cure, and that's in part because HIV hides. Our HIV cure strategy is a CAR T-cell therapy that modifies the patient's own T cells so that it can target hidden HIV. It's a one-time treatment that reduces the costs over the lifetime of a patient. There are other products in development that are competitive products, but none of them are both a one-time treatment and also targeting hidden HIV, and we do not believe that any of these will be successful products. Our team leverages real competencies. Pam and I are very compatible. I have a background in drug development, and Pam has spent 10 years at the university developing this therapy. We also have some excellent advisors on the business side and scientific side, and have several KOLs who are interested in who are both in HIV and CAR T-cell therapies. This is $1 billion market, even with a very conservative estimate of targeting the 10 largest US cities. We would have 3 different indications. First, in patients who are not ART suppressed, and then first in patients who are ART suppressed, followed by patients who are not, where we think there would be a larger uptake, and then in patients who are treatment refractory, and that would likely be a different product. So far, we have a proof of concept in the best preclinical model of HIV. We've raised $2.5 million in non-dilutive funding, and we are development modeling on the CAR T therapies that are already approved in oncology. And I thank you for your time. We are seeking startup advice going forward.
Judges, we have 1:45.
I have a question. Can you, what's the non-dilutive? Is that NIH grants or SBIR?
Yep, we have an STTR. Actually, Pam and I are co-PIs. We have a phase 1. We just scored in the fundable range for a phase 2. We also have a Launch Minnesota grant and a Regenerative Medicine Minnesota grant.
Can you go into a little bit more detail about your current stage of development and what the trajectory is?
We are in the preclinical stage of development, and we have positive data in a pilot study in primates. It's really the best model for HIV, and we are in the process of planning for an IND-enabling primate study that will just be a larger study and better controlled.
Thanks.
We have about 45 seconds left. Any more questions? Okay, we can move on to the next contestant.
Thank you so much. All right. Next up is thyroxine. Tim, would you please turn on your camera and microphone? Go ahead and share your screen with us, and then I will introduce you.
Yeah, are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are.
All right.
While he is doing that, Dr. Timothy Rich is the inventor, FDA IND holder.
I can't hear you.
It's okay. There you go. Go ahead and share it on full screen.
Is that better?
Yep, perfect. All right, so Dr. Timothy Rich is the inventor, FDA IND holder, and principal investigator for Thyroxy. The University of Minnesota Venture Center is launching a new CO around a novel drug discovery to treat acute respiratory distress syndrome in critically ill patients for which there is no current medical therapies. The drug, Thyroxy, is currently founded in a phase 2 multi-site clinical trials with very promising early results. It's now ready to exit the university and in need of an executive leadership and team. Dr. Rich, when you are ready, the timer will begin.
Thank you. The problem is acute respiratory distress syndrome, which is a life-threatening inflammation and swelling of the lung. It makes it hard to breathe, you drop your oxygen, and you go on a ventilator with a very high mortality and higher in COVID. It's an orphan disease that affects greater than 10% of all ICU patients, and there is currently no therapy for ARDS. So the solution, Thyroxy. 20 years of University of Minnesota ARDS research and drug development of a special thyroid hormone formulation to treat all causes of ARDS. We've done clinical toxicology, efficacy trial, and now phase 2 is enrolling. All of our patients extremely ill, but they've survived and thrived without side effect. So Thyroxy may be the first medical therapy for ARDS. So why now? Thyroxy is ready for a partner. It treats all causes of ARDS, including infections, toxic inhalation, or chest trauma, by putting the medication into the lung to inflammation and lung swelling. So why us? Because we're treating patients now and have for over a year. We are a team of doers. We have over 40 years of ARDS experience. We have over 700 undiluted research funds and experience in the 505(b)(2). We've also had some great promotions, an above the fold front page Star and Tribune highlighting our work, as well as journal articles, high impact showing our science. So why is it a business? Because we've been de-risking it. It has a broad patent portfolio, a 505(b)(2) pathway. There's no competing medical therapy. There are numerous other diseases that could use it. We can fully make Thyroxy now at a low cost. It has orphan drug potential status and an early phase 2 end. So our ask is this: an executive team that knows the NDA process and knows big pharma for connecting on partnering, phase 3 funding and support, and a vision for pipeline development for products for other diseases. We need your vision. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Judges, we have 1:45.
Yes, you say that there's no current medical therapy. Can you explain why that is and what some of the barriers to this have been?
Yeah, so ARDS is a very complicated disease. There have been lots of tries at medical therapy, such as stem cell transplant, etc. But what we have found is a natural hormone replacement for the lung using thyroid hormone that has seemed to be effective with very low risk and no side effects.
I believe you mentioned that it gets injected directly into the lungs. Is that a barrier for ARDS or any other indications that you're thinking about?
We are in the process of making it a nebulized form and an inhaler and a spray. And so it has that potential. For now, it's instilled directly down the endotracheal tube to patients on ventilators.
How far along are you in the nebulized version formulation?
That has not been tested yet in animals. We have the formulation ready, but we're really focused right now on the phase 2 ARDS patients.
Thank you.
But that would be part of the pipeline development that we're asking.
If there's time for one last quick question. So prior to COVID, about how many cases per year?
There are about 183,000, something less than 200,000 in the US. It's listed as an orphan disease on the FDA website.
Well, thank you for this presentation. We can move on to the next competitor.
Thank you, Dr. Rich. You can go ahead and turn off your camera and microphone and stop sharing your screen. Our next up is Telemed View. So Shayla, would you like to turn on yours?
Hello.
Hello, welcome. Go ahead and share your screen. Perfect. Dr. Shayla Abdick is the co-founder of TelemedView. Her company is developing a simple visualization tool that allows a comprehensive view during telehealth sessions. Seeing your clinician or patient from multiple different angles simultaneously results in more accurate physical health assessments, time savings, and a higher standard of virtual care. Dr. Abdick, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So good afternoon from Canada. I'm Shayla, the co-founder of TelemedView, where we see virtual care differently. Imagine being a clinician and trying to provide exercise therapy virtually using a single view from the front. Not being able to easily see and copy certain exercises wastes therapy time, struggling to get the right view, and also causes inaccurate and incomplete assessments, lowering quality of care overall. Because of the forced expansion of virtual care in the past year, the opportunity to act is now. And 75% of the clinicians that we interviewed think this is in fact a real problem. Also, we know their preference is to continue offering virtual care even after the pandemic. So our solution is an easy-to-use device that provides multiple simultaneous views in one single video feed. You can easily see the clinician demonstrating a back row exercise from all sides at the same time. And clinicians can watch their patients do the same exercise, which from the front can look like it is being done correctly, but other views can quickly provide information about incorrect posture, for example, opportunity for immediate correction. Our prototype validation resulted in more accurate assessments, saving at least 10 minutes per session, which leads to a higher quality of care overall. For the clinician, this translates to at least $7,000 in savings per year and the ability to see more patients both in scope as well as geographically. Currently, we are in the midst of filing our IP. And as a team, we are not only innovation experts and business savvy, two of us are exercise clinicians with wide connections in the rehab space. So this is why we intend to start selling to who we know best. We identified a $50 million market in physical rehab alone, but we see our device being beneficial for many other clinicians and even other sectors. With your help, we can be major disruptors of live virtual interaction as we know it. Thank you.
Thank you. Judges, we have 1:50.
Thank you. My first question, is this used with standard video devices? Is this a modification, or is it a separate device that the patient needs to have?
So very good question. I'm happy to share this screen. Yes, this uses standard cameras that everybody knows, but what we are doing is the IP essentially behind this is that it's a hardware system in about a router-sized box. And what it does is it uses multiple ports that allow different multiple cameras to stream into one integrated single video feed, essentially. So the patient as well as the clinician would have to purchase a device like this and use it to be able to demonstrate the views that are required. And what's important to know is this just uses a very simple plug and play webcam USB port, and it's very straightforward to use even for the less tech savvy population.
Is it easy to set up as well? Is it several cameras or just one camera?
So it includes at the moment 3 different cameras, one of which would be a wide angle camera. One is usually a tabletop camera, depending on what we wish to see, whether it's the front face. Some clinicians, for example, prefer to see the hands as you're typing or writing something. For example, I have an example video here. This would demonstrate a clinician who's a speech language pathologist, for example, may wish to see a person using their hands while writing. So there's potentially a way to use the cameras in any way that the clinician wants. Different clinicians want to see different views. And it would be relatively easy to set up with proper guidance initially. Later down the line, what we're thinking of is having a standardized way of setting in order to create more standardized methods of assessing patients, much like we do in real life in medicine. Everything is standardized. But this is something we will flesh out in our validation studies going forward.
Thank you for your presentation. We can move on to the next competitor.
Thank you.
Shayla, you can go ahead and turn your camera and microphone off and stop sharing your screen. And I would like to welcome Tilo Design. Morgan, you can turn your camera and microphone on. Hello, go ahead and share your screen. Awesome. So Morgan Kerfield is the strategy and operations lead for Tilo Design. Tilo is a team of 4 undergraduate students from the University of Minnesota solving the problem of the large number of falls that occur in the US every year by developing the first significant innovation to the roller walker in over 40 years. Tilo is determined to flip the narrative on mobility devices and change the way we approach our mobility as we know it. Morgan, the floor is yours.
Awesome. At Tilo, we understand a mobility aid is more than a medical device. It's also a lifestyle device. Similar to a pair of shoes, it's something that can support you, keep you active, be fashionable, and allow you to go out and do the things you care about most. This is why we are working on the first significant innovation to the rollator walker in 40 years, a device that's remained largely unchanged since its creation back in 1978, yet something millions of people rely on every day. Current forward-facing rollator designs can roll too far ahead of users, causing falls, poor posture, bad walking habits, and overdependence on the device while promoting negative stigmas and embarrassment for users. Our patent-pending walking frame aims to shift the narrative surrounding mobility aids from weak to badass. Featuring a reverse frame, Tilo's device is unable to roll ahead of users, preventing falls, improving gait patterns, and opening up our user to the world so they are seen first, not their mobility aid, allowing our users to show off killer outfits or simply receive a hug from their child. By integrating load cells and wheel encoders directly into our device, we are able to measure speed, distance, and weight put on the frame. With these simple metrics in our mobile application, we have created an activity tracker for people who cannot currently benefit from the traditional wrist wearables. Additionally, with the option to share their metrics with physical therapists, we bring therapy into the home while providing something that both PTs and patients have been deprived of, tangible data on progress and baselines. Initially, we aim to serve the MS community because of our direct connection to it. We believe there's a $5 million beachhead market within that community. And as we expand our reach, our market opportunity grows to nearly 60 million and then 6.5 billion. Our direct connection to the community we are serving provides us an unfair advantage, with every design aspect being a result of a conversation with someone in the community. Furthermore, we strive to go further than just selling mobility aids and data services, but to be thought leaders in the space as well. Mobility is just another aspect of our health, and being proactive about it, maintaining it, is no different than brushing your teeth or taking your vitamins. So while Tilo's design may start with a personal mobility aid, we intend to continue to develop innovative solutions to keep people of all ages and conditions living independent, active lifestyles, and we hope you will join us on our journey. Thank you.
Judges, we have 2 minutes left.
Thank you. Very exciting. I have 2 questions that are related. The first is, it looks like the person needs to be standing upright to use it. Are there concerns either with someone who has osteoporosis and may not be able to do that stance, and with MS as a degenerative disease, with someone who may not be able to grip the Tilo walker?
Yes, very good points. We have been working with occupational therapists to really work on those 2 concerns, recognizing that multiple sclerosis is a degenerate, a disease that gets worse over time. It would be more likely that the users who would be using it at the beginning would be the ones in earlier stages of multiple sclerosis, looking at the younger population, ages around 20 to 40.
Have you already built a prototype, or is that the funding? Yeah.
Yes, so we do have a appearance model prototype built and are currently working on an electronics prototype with 2 engineering partners. We have a CAD model built and are actively working on a manufacturing CAD model. And currently we are projected to have a fully functional prototype and a manufacturable CAD model to show both potential manufacturers and conduct those usability, safety, and feasibility testing by the end of August.
Thanks.
Judges, we have 30 seconds left. Any more questions? Okay, we can move on to the next competitor.
Thank you, Morgan. You can go ahead and turn off your camera and microphone. And our very last competitor in this division is Vibrance Medical. So Sayujay, will you please turn on your microphone and camera?
Hi, you can see my camera now?
Yes, we can. You can go ahead and share your screens and then I will introduce you.
Okay, all right. Wait. Is my PowerPoint visible now?
It is. You can go ahead and put it into presentation mode.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So Sayujay Suresh is the co-founder of Vibrance Medical, where they developed a screening device that is simple, quick, and affordable for early diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Sayujay, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, my name is Sayuj and I'm the co-founder of Vibrance Biomedical. And we believe we can make diagnostics simply better. As of 2019, there are more than 463 million adults with diabetes, and 1 in 2 of them are still undiagnosed. Growing up, I saw many of my family members being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at a very late stage. From interviewing people, I found that the fear of healthcare setting and its associated cost is pushing people to not get tested early. So I came up with the idea of an at-home test strip that can diagnose both pre-diabetes and diabetes using saliva. Last year, we developed our first functional prototype, and here's a picture of it. How this test strip works is that initially you apply your saliva in this absorbent pad, and then it flows to the other end by using capillary forces. Then the enzymes and chemicals in the test strip will give a color readout based on your diabetic stage. And the excess saliva is absorbed by these excess flow paths. With this prototype, we were able to optimize the test strip for saliva, bring down the test time to less than 5 minutes, and make it 8 times larger. The current rise in telemedicine has proven that many diagnostics and treatments can be done remotely. A simple diabetes test like ours can be paired with telemedicine to provide quality healthcare at home. A few months ago, we filed our first patent, which is patent pending. We have also developed a fully functional prototype and raised angel investment to do all these developments. This is our team. I'm Sayuj, a sophomore at the U, majoring in biochem. And this is my co-founder, Freddie. She's a scientist at Beckman Coulter. In the right is all of our strategic advisors. With your support and our business model, we can help hundreds of millions of people, like my grandpa, to have a chance of leading a long, healthy, and happy life. Thank you.
Thank you. Judges, we have 2 minutes.
Can you talk a little bit about the symptoms that would cause a clinician to order a diabetes test and whether that would a patient be required to go in person, or do you think this really is something that can be done via telemedicine, depending on the presenting symptoms?
Yeah. So this is going to be a B2C model, and that's our goal. So you could just walk in, like if a telemedicine provider like orders a test, you could just walk into a Walgreens and just grab the test and test it at your home. Yeah. Did I answer your question? Yeah.
And I guess, can you talk a little bit about any competitive efforts that are similar to this? Any other types of microfluidic lab on chips for this indication?
Yeah. I can talk about that. Yeah. So in this diabetic space, there's a company in Australia which just developed a microfluidic, like something, but it's electronic. But the thing there is they're focused on people who already have diabetes. So this is more like a managing tool. That's what they're developing. And so that's what the competition is like in the saliva diabetic space. Company in Australia. Yeah.
Thank you.
Diabetes screening generally tends to be blood-based, where you look at blood sugar levels. There's other information that tends to be viewed as well as part of a pre-diabetes screen. What is the efficacy of your test? How early does it predict it? And how does it compare to a blood-based test?
Yeah. The reason I got started with this is because there's some papers that have like shown that blood glucose level and saliva glucose level correlate really, really well. And that's what led me to develop this tester. And it's very, very like promising. And talking about the efficacy, like since like we are at very early stages, we haven't like tested like how good it is. Like right now we have a prototype that can show that the test trip works, but we haven't like actually tested the glucose levels and how the saliva and blood compares. Yeah.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll move on to the next competitor.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you everyone. This is the conclusion of the junior anglers. I will send all of the judges off to deliberate, and in the meantime, so while the judges are leaving us, we are doing a People's Choice Award. So there's two ways that you can find that People's Choice. The first is you can put your phone up to the screen and should see this QR code. Another the most persuasive pitch from the junior anglers. As that's happening, Mary, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I am here. I don't know if you can see me, but it doesn't matter. Oh, there I am. Let's see. So super exciting, wonderful to see 5 entry-level junior anglers competing. I'm very comfortable in the space, and it's great to see them do so well. A couple more speakers for you while we get the judging sorted out. The first one is Frank Jaskulke, the Vice President of Intelligence for Medical Alley, and he's also the most networked executive in the history of life sciences since the beginning of time. Medical Ally is a promotional sponsor of Walleye Tank, and they recently launched their Medical Alley Starts program to significantly strengthen their support of startups, including University of Minnesota startups. So Frank, please share with us the latest at Medical Alley.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that. And if I'm connected, it's only because I know great people like Mary and many of the others at the University of Minnesota Technology Commercialization Office. Again, Frank Jaskulke from the Medical Alley Association. We are the trade group for healthcare and health technology companies in the state of Minnesota. And my job is to support you all, the startup community, whether you're starting a company, selling a company, buying a company, making an investment. My job and my team's job is to try to make your hard work a little bit easier. Earlier this year, we launched Medical Alley Starts, medicalallystarts.com if you want to check it out. Our dedicated initiative to provide special support to help startup companies lower their costs of starting, scaling, and pivoting. If you need help finding investors, advisors, partners, or you just need someone to talk to and share your challenges with me or with a peer, you can reach out anytime, and we will be here to open the doors and try to make your work a little bit easier. Again, that's medicalallystarts.com if you need more information. And Mary, thank you so much for having us and having this event on such a fine day.
Yeah, it's super fun. All right, next up. Another friend of our office and of many of us here is Pat Dillon. Pat is the leader of Minnesota's SPIR and STTR Accelerator and helps Minnesota startups get millions of dollars of federal non-dilutive funding every year. Pat, please tell us what the latest is with your programs.
All right, thank you, Mary. Welcome, everyone. So a little bit about the Minnesota SPIR STTR Accelerator is we're focused on accelerating research into market opportunities and societal benefits by supporting high-tech small businesses and collaborations among government, industry, and academia, with, of course, a very strong focus on the federal small business innovation research and the small business technology transfer programs. We are the governor's resource when it comes to the SBIR and STTR programs, and we deliver confidential business and technical assistance to Minnesota firms to access these federal SBIR and STTR investments. Since we were established in 2014, we have assisted many companies, and over that course of time, we've had probably about 50 companies win about $40 million in SBIR and STTR funding. That's resulted in jobs, additional investments, patents, certainly academic research partnerships and partnerships with the Mayo Clinic, and much more. So the accelerator cannot guarantee funding. However, we can make that journey a lot less stressful. I have nearly 30 years of experience with the programs, and I can tell you that the programs are not static. We focus our efforts on 3 federal agencies that represent about $2.5 billion each fiscal year, and that includes the Department of Defense, the Department of Health and Human Services, which includes NIH, the FDA, and the CDC, and the National Science Foundation. We also work with the other agencies, but our focus is truly on these 3 large federal agencies. I would be remiss if I didn't share the supporters that we have for the accelerator, and that certainly would include the Small Business Administration, the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development and Launch Minnesota, the University of Minnesota, the Venture Center, and the Tech Commercialization Office, along with the Home Center for Entrepreneurship, and the Mayo Clinic Office of Entrepreneurship, and our host, the Minnesota Technology Association. So the SBIR and STTR programs are America's seed fund. And each year, there's probably close to $3.7 billion available in early stage seed capital that's awarded to small businesses all across the country. And there are 11 federal agencies that participate in the programs. If you've not looked at SBIR or STTR funding, please do so. You can reach us at MNSBIR and just type that into Google and you'll be sure to get to our page. And thank you very much for attending. And I would be remiss by saying that 65% of the walleye presenters today are in my orbit. Thank you.
Then they're getting the best help possible.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate your support. The last speaker before we jump to the second group of competitors, the mid-level reelers, is Carla Pavone. Dr. Pavone leads MinCore and ICOR and is a popular teacher on value propositions. Carla's here to share with us the latest of what's happening with her various high-impact programs.
Thanks so much, Mary, and thank you, Pat. It's fun to work with all of you in these different contexts. I'm Carla Pavone. I am the program director of MinCore, or the Minnesota Innovation Corps, which is a National Science Foundation funded program to educate and coach scientists and engineers about what it takes to commercialize their inventions. And that's across all kinds of fields. About half of them end up being medical or healthcare related technologies. We feed a National Science Foundation program called I-Core, which is a very intense way of really getting down and understanding your business model. What's really been exciting over the past year is opening up these programs to innovators across the state of Minnesota through Launch Minnesota. And what has been exciting to me as it relates to Walleye Tank is to see how many of the competitors started out back when they were junior anglers in some way participating in the MNCOR programs. Our next programs start in June, and again, they're open to both academic and non-academic medical and other types of science-based innovators. So what I'm going to do is put the link to MNCOR in the chat, and I look forward to people joining us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Carla. In the Venture Center, we refer every single startup to the MNCOR program. That's how critical it is to the university's startup success. I am going to turn the podium over back to Raina and Jess to kick off the second division.
Well, we had a wonderful lab, and I would like to invite all of the judges for the mid-level reelers to join us on stage. And we can then introduce you all. So John, Kate, and Frank, please go ahead, turn your camera and mics on, and we can spend a little time getting to know the judges of the mid-level. We might be able to try. Oh, here we go. I'm not patient enough for electronics, apparently. So go ahead, John, if you'd like to introduce yourself first.
Great. John Stavik with the Home Center for Entrepreneurship at the University of Minnesota. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and connect the next generation of entrepreneurs. We do that through experiential courses, like you heard our TILO team, which is a team of undergraduates with the forward-facing wheelchair that's in one of my classes, and some of the other early presenters were also in some of our other classes, led by Carla Pavone, who just presented and works across the university and across the state on technology commercialization. We also do outreach programs in terms of the Minnesota Cup and Grow North, so I'm here to let you know you still have 8 hours and 55 minutes left to enter this year's Minnesota Cup. So mncup.org. If you have to go through the chat and create the link, you probably don't have time. So log in now. We've had winners come in the last couple of days. But we've got some record participation this year, and really appreciate with Launch Minnesota, the Secretary of State, and this entire community on the call today. Really great promotion for the event, and excited to be here.
Wonderful, thank you. Frank, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Frank Mortari. I'm the VP of Corporate Development at Biotechne, which is Minneapolis-based. We sell products worldwide. We serve the research community and the diagnostic market. We've been around for over 40 years. And my job is to lead M&A and strategic planning for the company. And I must say we benefited, obviously, from seeing the talent and resources that exist locally through these events, because we've actually acquired some companies that were part of these programs as they matured, and then we felt there was a fit. So we welcome the participation, and I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Katie, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, thank you. Katie Campbell, and I'm a faculty member at St. Catherine University in St. Paul. I direct our Women's Health Integrative Research Center, and we partner with local women founders and founders of women's health companies to do collaborative research. Thank you so much for letting me be here today.
Well, thank you so much. These are our judges for the mid-level. Just a few housekeeping things. Remember, this is the very end for you to pick your people's choice for the previous division. If you need the link, it is in the main chat. The other thing is when we go to the presenters sharing their screen, sometimes it's hard to see the presenter themselves. Feel free to scroll on the side down and the presenter's video will be at the bottom so you can see them while they are presenting. And with that, I will bring up our first team, Habit Camera. So Derek, please turn on your camera and microphone and share your screen. Awesome. Well, this is Derek Herrera, and he is the co-founder or the founder and CEO of Habit Camera. The Habit Camera is the first low-cost digital tool designed specifically for skin inspection that supports telehealth. This invention was developed by researchers from the University of Minnesota and the MPLS VA, and it is licensed by Derek Herrera, who is also a veteran. We welcome you, Derek. Your time starts when you begin.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. As you mentioned, the Habit Camera is the first low-cost, purpose-built digital tool for skin inspection that supports telehealth. It's been in development by researchers at the Minneapolis VA and the UM, and I personally learned how important skin inspection is after sustaining a spinal injury in Afghanistan while serving there in 2012. This is a foot ulcer. It looks relatively innocuous, but can easily become life-threatening. And research shows that diabetics who have a diabetic foot ulcer are twice as likely to die within 5 years than those who don't. Because of this, patients are given a skin mirror and sent home and asked to check their skin twice a day in order to prevent and try to intervene early for any sort of wounds that may be developing. But using the skin mirror is not effective. It's hard to see and doesn't support telehealth. And so some patients will use a cell phone. It's also hard to see and takes forever to get a high quality photo or image. We designed the Habit Camera to address these issues. The Habit Camera is a high definition camera that wirelessly connects to a smartphone or tablet app and enables the user to comfortably inspect their skin, save these images or videos, and send them to clinicians or caregivers. This is a massive unmet market need, and we estimate that roughly half of Americans could benefit from a device like this. We already have revenues from pre-orders online at our website, www.habit.camera, and plan to ship these orders in Q3 of this year. Would like to thank MAID, the Minneapolis VA, UM, and specifically folks at the UM Venture Center for their hard work and effort and mentorship. And if you know anyone who's willing to join us in our journey to make a skin inspection a habit and enable independence for millions of Americans just like me, please contact me, Derek, at habit.camera. And thank you. Happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you. Judges, we have 2 minutes.
Thanks, Derek. Great looking product, and glad to see that you're taking pre-orders on it. Can you talk a little bit? Is there software involved beyond just the picture taking that would help prepare it for clinicians, or is it really just a kind of a selfie stick with a phone on the end?
The minimum viable product does not include any advanced software, and we do that purposely to enable us to minimize the regulatory burden and bring it to market as an FDA exempt consumer electronics product. But eventually, we can absolutely integrate advanced software and algorithms and machine learning and things like that.
Thank you,
Derek. Can you tell us about the price and cost aspects?
Yes, currently we're still finalizing details with our contract manufacturers, but we estimate the cost of goods will be around $40. Right now it's available for pre-order online for $69, and then retail price point will be around $149 once we bring it to market and begin to sell it.
Could you share more about the expertise on the team?
Yeah, so right now it's just my wife and I. We started this as a family business. Prior to being, I served in the military as a Marine Infantry and Special Operations Officer for 8 years, but I have an undergraduate degree in systems engineering. And then my experience over the past 6 years, I founded a medical device company and have taken a product from napkin sketch to pivotal clinical study where we are currently raised investment, run the business, and that's currently my day job as the CTO and founder of another urology device startup.
Thank you.
Would the patient be expected, these would be out-of-pocket expenses, or could this be covered by insurance?
It absolutely can be covered by insurance. So we'll always have a direct-to-consumer component online available for direct sales. But eventually we'd like to get this paid for by insurers and demonstrate the value. We're already in talks to do that with the VA. And we think we'll also have traction as with other managed care organizations and groups like Kaiser and other closed loop systems that can see the value in this device because of the value, the efficiency, and the low cost.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll move on to the next competitor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. The next up is Luminary Therapeutics. So David, would you like to turn on your camera and microphone? Wonderful. Go ahead and share your slides and I will introduce you.
Okay. Okay.
Perfect. We see it. David Larcaspada is the founder and chair of the board for Luminary Therapeutics. Luminary Therapeutics is a preclinical cell therapy company developing next-generational, non-viral, autologous cell treatments for cancers and autoimmune disease. Luminary's primary focus is to develop CAR-T and other generation cell therapies that address the antigen escape issue present with the current existing therapies. David, the time will start when you begin.
All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. So cell transplants called cells are revolutionizing cancer therapy. CAR-T cells are genetically engineered human white blood cells, and very high complete clinical responses have been reported for leukemia, lymphoma, and myeloma. And the FDA has approved 4 different CAR-T cell therapies so far, and there's been a meteoric rise in the interest of this form of cancer therapy. However, a high percentage of patients treated with first-generation therapies eventually relapse with resistant disease. And that's because all FDA-approved CAR-T cell therapies recognize a single target on cancer cells, and many patients will relapse within a year. And that's because the tumor cells just lose the target on the cancer cells. Luminary is solving this relapse problem using next-generation cell therapies. We are designing CAR-T cells that recognize more than one target on cancer cells. We're working on technologies to improve T-cell function in the tumor microenvironment. And finally, we are developing a universal platform with the ability to switch on and switch off CAR T-cell function, improving safety, and that recognizes multiple targets, improving effectiveness long-term. Our approach also utilizes a powerful new non-viral gene transfer technology called TC Buster in collaboration with Biotechne. This allows multiple large transgenes to be delivered, simplifies the manufacturing of T cells, and is a distinguishing factor for our company. Luminary Therapeutics is a new company, but we have years of scientific, medical, and business experience. Those of us shown on the top row here had a successful exit for Bemagen, which we sold in summer of 2019. Our pipeline includes multiple disease targets, and we have strong IP positions in all of these. We're seeking key funding for our development milestones with a planned phase 1 clinical trial in 2022 using our BAF CAR T-cell product in lymphoma. Thank you, and I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Thank you, judges. We have 1:50.
Great work, David. As you know, we're a strong believer in cell therapy. It's certainly an area that's growing fast. Do you have animal data showing the multi-targeted epitope antigen approach that shows promise of effectiveness?
We do. So we have strong preclinical animal data with our BAF CAR T product that causes, induces complete remission-like state long-term. Right now, we're in dialogue with the FDA, the pre-IND stage, and working on our IND.
Excellent.
Could you speak?
Thank you.
Sorry, could you speak to whether the panel of targets is common across multiple patients, or is that an individualized medicine target?
So with the BAF CAR T product, it's in all, for example, we're focusing on mantle cell lymphoma. The 3 antigens recognized by the BAF CAR T are present on all mantle cell lymphoma cells, and it would be the same product used for every mantle cell lymphoma patient. The universal CAR T platform that I talked about could be individualized for patients, and that is a project that's more in the development stage, but would allow us to make highly multivalent CAR T that we could individualize using small molecules ligands for an individual patient.
Thanks, David. Glad to hear that you're working with Frank and the team at Biotechne. You showed the Series A of a quite sizable amount, likely next year. What do you need to do? What milestones do you need to achieve prior to that?
So right now we are doing pre-IND enabling studies, so preclinical tox. We have the efficacy data already. So the FDA has instructed us on some preclinical toxicology that we need to finish and get some other assays, QC assays demonstrated. But we feel like we're close to that, and we actually raised enough money to get through the IND. That money we're seeking now would be to actually carry out the phase 1 clinical trial.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. We need to move on to the next competitor.
All right, David, you can go ahead and turn your microphone, camera, and screen off. All right, next I would like to bring up Austin Biosciences. So David, go ahead, turn your camera and mic on and start sharing your screen. While he's loading, I'll introduce him to catch up on a little bit of our time. We're behind just ever so slightly. So David Yang is the founder and CEO for Austin Biosciences. Austin Biosciences is pioneering a cancer diagnostic test that has never been offered in the healthcare market and is highly sensitive in early detection of malignant cancer. The goal of his company is to further develop and commercialize this first ever metabolomics-based blood test for early cancer screening and detection. David, the floor is yours. David, you got to turn your camera and microphone on. We can't hear or see you. We see your screen, and that's working great. Well, we're getting there. Thanks for being patient with us. We're going to give one more try, and then if we can't get your video and screen up, we're going to move to the next speaker and try you again at the end. We still don't have a camera or microphone. So while he is trying to figure that out, we're going to have X.Medical come up to the stage. Oh, here, David. I see a video.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Ashish, hang tight. You can just mute yourself. All right, David, let's try this again. We hear you.
Okay. So can you see the screen?
Yep, you can start.
Yeah. Okay. So we know cancer is still one of the main causes of human death. So, but this is mainly because the current cancer screen method lack the sensitivity to detect those cancer early. So we develop a solution, which is a new metabolomics-based cancer screen method that is highly sensitive for doing so. So this method is based on a Nobel Prize winning discovery that cancer cells use glucose different from normal cells. So instead of oxidative phosphorylation, cancer cell goes through glycolysis. So our method use mass spec and targeted metabolomic method to specifically label and trace those end product of glycolysis secreted by the circulating tumor cells in the blood. So the competitive advantage is multifold. It's the first metabolic-based blood test. It is safe, minimally invasive, and cost-effective. So the current image-based method cannot tell whether those CTC cells are dormant or malignant. So our method is sensitive enough to trace those malignant CTC for early detection of human cancer. So we developed this simple business model that directly targets customers. So registered customers just need a nurse home visit and a simple blood draw. Then the blood sample will send back to Austin Biosciences, and we'll do the analysis and the report. So our initial fundraising goal is just set a local wet lab and pilot study to research or study those human blood samples. So we have a strong advisory and management team, including medical scientists, and as well as businessmen and businesswomen. And thank you.
Thank you, judges. We have 1:50.
David, do you have any data showing the performance of this test against other tests on the market? Anything that shows some kind of consistency or equivalency in performance?
So our results is very consistent in terms of cell study or preclinical study using mice. We have some limited clinical data that from lung cancer. So we know this is a very sensitive method. It's mass spec based and also metabolomics based.
And is the test impacted by the number of cells that would be resident in the blood sample collected? Or do you have to enrich the tumor cells first before you can do the test?
Yes, we have to enrich those tumor cells first. Yeah. So we have an efficient, enrichment method. And the key of this is using metabolomic-based method to trace those CTC. So it's very sensitive instead of those low sensitivity tests.
Judges, we have 30 seconds.
Could you speak to the decision to target directly to consumers and whether you think that would increase access to this diagnostic or decrease access based on the price point?
Yeah, we have different models. So this model is directly targeted customers. So this will be a simplified pathway to profitability. So we only need a clear, formed or approved lab test rather than FDA approval. So this would be a quick model for getting profit.
Thank you so much for your presentation. We'll move on to the next contestant.
You can go ahead and turn off your camera and microphone and stop sharing screens. And Ashish from X-Type, you can come back on. All right, go ahead and share your screen. Perfect. So Ashish Agnahoutri is the founder and CEO for X.Medical, where innovation in large bore catheter-based therapies are helping a wide variety of patients. However, the rates of bleeding complications and failure of closure devices remain high. X.Medical is developing a solution that will reduce these complications, allowing the patients to truly experience the benefits of catheter-based therapies, recover faster, and go back to their loved ones earlier. Ashish, the clock is on you.
Thanks, Reina. Good afternoon, everyone. There has been a rapid growth in the large bore catheter-based procedures. In 2020, there were more than 500,000 such procedures done. Let's talk about 3 patients with very different conditions that underwent these procedures. Susan underwent a procedure called TAVR. Wang had a procedure called PVAR. Angela had a PCI procedure along with the use of a device called Impella. In all these procedures, a catheter was inserted through the femoral artery of the patient. They were promised that these catheter-based procedures are very safe and they will go home the next day. While the primary procedure was very successful, they all end up having complications, bleeding and closure device failure. Susan ended up requiring additional closure devices. Wang required placement of a covered stent, and Angela required surgical repair. Fortunately, they all recovered, but end up spending several extra days in the hospital. Bleeding and closure, the complications and closure device failure is a large and growing problem. Bleeding complications happen in about 18% of these procedures. 10% of these cases have failure of closure devices. What is the impact? Well, the risk of mortality goes by 2 times. The length of stay increases by 3 times, 2 times the cost of procedure. 50% of cases of closure devices require additional intervention. We are developing the X-Inch access management system to address these problems. The device is based on a proven surgical principle called purse string technique and involves sutures that are anchored in the vessel wall across the access site and cinched in an automated fashion. Our beachhead market of large bore closure is estimated to be 300 million in 2020 and dominated by one product that has a pretty high failure rate. What we have done so far? Well, we have a provisional patent that we filed earlier this year. And we have also done some concept feasibility studies. In the next few months, we are doing our animal labs and also doing FDA pre-submission. Our plan is to do our first in-man study in the second half of next year. And with that, I'll close here and take any questions.
Thank you, judges. We have 1:40.
It's very exciting. Is there data that you've used on animals that shows how your technique performs against the current device on the market? And does that look very promising?
We have done some benchtop testing on a pressurized swine aorta as a proof of concept, and we are moving into our animal studies starting next month.
Very good.
You mentioned 10% of them failing to close. What? Yeah. I'm sure there are a variety of causes for that. What percentage of those do you think you're addressing with your product?
Yes, that's a great question. One of the biggest causes for the market-leading technology failure is calcification inside the vessel. Most of these patients are elderly, and we believe that we could address or eliminate that problem because our device does not need to go through the vessel wall. We rely on the anchoring on the vessel wall. So we believe that we will be successful in the calcified vessel and address that failure mode.
And you do that immediately before the catheter is injected, or so?
Yes, so that's another difference between our device and the competitive devices. The competitive devices or what is solution is available in the market are only providing the permanent hemostasis or closure at the end of the procedure. We are not only providing the closure at the end of the procedure, but we are also providing a continuous hemostasis and addressing that bleeding or reducing bleeding throughout the procedure. So we will place this device before the procedure or as you start the procedure, and then at the end of the procedure, lock the device.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. We'll move on to the next competitor.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I would like Tal to please turn on his camera and microphone and share his screen. Wonderful. We see you. Go ahead and share your screen and I will introduce you.
Great. Can you see my screen?
Wonderful. So ScalaMed has revolutionized and imagined prescriptions to allow doctors to prescribe directly to a patient's phone, where ScalaMed can make the prescription smart with price comparisons, education, and alerts. Patients can make a more informed pharmacy choice. ScalaMed, the time is yours.
Thank you so much. The most frequent healthcare transaction today is a prescription. And yet prescriptions completely neglect the patient. Because today prescriptions we send from doctor to the pharmacy, not giving it to the patient, causing patients to be confused, causing adherence issues, and a huge burden on the physicians. So we decided to reimagine prescriptions by, for the first time, giving a patient control and putting them back in the center. How it works is next time the patient goes to a doctor, encouraged by their payer or their technology provider, they'll say to the doctor, please send the prescription to me. The doctor in their EMR selects ScalaMed, patient gets a text, and for the first time, the patient has the prescription on their phone. We show them where the cheapest place is for them to pick up their medicine. We compare alternative medicines for them, educate them and warn them, and within 3 clicks, their prescription can be sent to any pharmacy in the US. What we've created is bringing the patients, we've created a gateway for access and influencing the patient while they manage the most frequent healthcare transaction. ScalaMed is now available as a plugin, API, or white labeled solution inside any third-party health application, enabling others to leverage prescriptions as a gateway for the patient. ScalaMed can actually be licensed to the 318,000 health applications on the App Store, whether they're incumbent healthcare companies looking to create a more solid digital front door, whether it's pharma companies looking to access the patients while they're receiving and managing their prescriptions, or any of the thousands of digital health companies looking to expand touch points and bring the patients inside their digital orbit. We're a SaaS B2B player in this huge and evolving market. Thus far, ScalaMed has tested and iterated its platform across 22 sites and 6,000 patients across Texas. We've signed our first licensing agreement. We'll be at about $1 million ARR by the end of this year. We've got a growing and extensive pipeline of companies looking to join ScalaMed. Our team have been building product and been in healthcare for many, many years. And we're raising a $2.5 million seed round with which we will take to the market, grow our pipeline, and create the smartest prescription that you can imagine. We've reinvented prescriptions as a gateway for access and influence, and I look forward to you joining our journey. Thank you.
Thank you, judges. We have 1:20.
Nice presentation. Are there any issues with when the patient is forwarding the script to a pharmacy and they not having perhaps all necessary credentials and therefore that not going through?
No, that's not an issue. We're available. We can actually be sent to every one of the 86,000 pharmacies across the US, and we're available inside every EMR. From a regulatory perspective, we're completely in line, and every pharmacy will accept a ScalaMed prescription.
Judges, we have 30 seconds.
And nice presentation. Are there any challenges in the pilots in terms of getting access to the pricing data? And then also, are you looking and are you already testing, kind of tracking usage of the medications?
Yeah, so in terms of pricing data, we actually will have two sets of pricing data, both coupons. So if you want to pay cash, can you pay $7 at Costco? And then being able to compare that against your copay to be able to see it's $25 copay versus $7 at Costco. You as a patient can decide. In terms of getting the real-time benefit information, there has been some issues, but as of July 1st, there's a new CMS mandate requiring every payer to publish those in APIs. So pretty much we'll have access to every single real-time benefit pricing and be able to do the most sophisticated price comparison that exists today. Your second question was around were there any issues with, I didn't understand the question, sorry.
Just are you tracking usage as well of the medications?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the beautiful thing about SkyMed is in real time we can see who's taking a prescription, who received a prescription but didn't fill it, who's out of refills, and we're able to intervene, activate and motivate those patients. And when we notice risk, we can link them back into care.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll move on to the next competitor.
Thank you.
All right, well, ScaleMed is coming off. We would like to invite our final mid-level team, Fenway Pham from Oncodia. Please turn on your camera and microphone and share your screen.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we see and hear you. Go ahead and share your screen.
Awesome. Can you see my screen?
Yes. It's not in presentation mode yet.
Oh, wait a second.
We see, there you go. Now we see PowerPoint.
How about now? Good?
Yep, now we're good. So Oncodia is putting the control over your health back in your hand at a price you can afford. Fenway Pham is the co-founder and CEO of Oncodia. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Raina. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Fenway Pham, Dan for short. I'm from Oncodia, and today I would like to introduce you to OncoAI, a new way to screen for cancer early at an affordable price. So without a show of hand, I can assure you that every single one of us here has been touched by cancer, either directly or indirectly through a friend or a family member. It is time for more accurate, more accessible, and more affordable ways to screen for cancer. So right now, cancer takes too long to identify and too expensive to test for. Current screening option for lung cancer, for instance, is low-dose CT scan with potential harms from overdiagnosis, radiation exposure, and increasing costs. With OncoAI, we can identify the presence of cancer with 30% more accurate, non-invasive, that costs 7 times less. Our solution can detect cancer at all stages, using blood biopsy and artificial intelligence at a price you can afford. So as you can see here, all we need is 15 to 30 microliter of serum. We run it through our patent-pending OncoAI system to identify different stages of different cancers. So right now, our prototype can differentiate lung cancer, breast cancer, and healthy blood samples. So you would ask, why us? We have a brilliant and international team of management, collaborators, and advisors with over 100 years of experience combined, with specific skills that complete each other. Global cancer diagnostic market is huge, with almost $120 billion in 2019, and is expected to grow to over $188 billion in 6 years. So through 175 surveys, we have identified that 150 million people in the US would be candidates for our test. Our beachhead market is 75 million people, 60 years and older. And capturing 1% of that addressable market means $150 million a year in revenue. So with that, who wants to join us to solve an exciting and meaningful problem?
Thank you, judges. We have 1:45.
Can you tell us if the test is protein-based, genetic-based, both, neither?
Oh, we do have a slide for that. So here you can see it is the, we use molecular-based data. So on the left-hand side, you can see the bubbles for lung cancer in green, breast cancer in blue, and healthy in red. And the sizes of the bubbles identify these stages.
And so these are genetic signatures, in essence, expression patterns. Can you just tell us a little bit? I guess there's a bit of a resistance in doing general screening of the entire population, how you would get this effectively to market.
I'm glad you asked. I do have a slide for that. So here we make screening easy. As we talk to numerous healthcare providers and physicians, oncologists, we have identified the least expensive pathway to commercialization through lab-developed tests. So an individual will see an ad online, and they can order our test kit that we send directly to their homes. Then they can prick the blood with the provided blood collection devices and have it contain the whole blood and send it back to our lab in a pre-stamped envelope for testing. We actually looking at different devices on the market right now. So can you see this here?
Yep.
So this one, it collects dry serum, and we tested the shipping cost for this would be like around $5. Or from this one from Tassel, and this device is just click on your arm and push the button, and the blood gonna be drawn into this tiny tube. And for this one, it's gonna be more expensive to send because we need to get to the lab right away. So it will be around $25 for shipping.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. Raina, I'll let you take it over now.
All right, thank you, everyone. Than, you can stop sharing. And I would like to thank you to all the judges. I will send you into another room to deliberate. And I would like to ask everyone else to make sure you go onto the chat and vote for the mid-level, your favorite one that was the most persuasive pitch in that last 6. And with that, I would also like to welcome up Dr. Charles Bruce, who serves as the Chief Innovation Officer at Mayo Clinic in Florida, as Medical Director of Mayo Clinic Innovation Exchange. He is also Associate Medical Director for Mayo Clinic Ventures, as well as Director for Business Development in the Center for Regenerative Medicine at Mayo Clinic in Florida. He is a professor of medicine, a practicing cardiologist, a researcher, and an inventor. Dr. Bruce is an accomplished inventor who has helped create 5 startup companies, is named on nearly 100 technology invention disclosures, a patent inventor for more than 160 patent filings, with 34 issued patents to date. 33 of his technologies have been licensed or optioned. Welcome, Dr. Bruce. Thank you for speaking with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Hale. Thanks for that kind introduction. Congratulations to you and to Dr. Ecker for hosting just an outstanding event. Congratulations too to the 18 teams that are competing today. This is very well deserved. Congratulations. I understand this has been a particularly competitive group of cohorts. Innovation is absolutely critical to Mayo's mission. We are recognized as the nation's best hospital, the world's best hospital, in delivering healthcare today. But we need to ensure that we are delivering the best healthcare for our patients in the future. So it's imperative that we shape the way healthcare is delivered. And it is through the work of the Office of Entrepreneurship, it's through events like this that inspire and educate our staff to do just that, to help Mayo Clinic realize its bold 2030 vision to cure, to connect, and to transform. The Office of Entrepreneurship is critical in doing this. It is critical because it helps build an ecosystem for innovation to thrive, both within our organization through educating our staff, but also in developing deep connections with our communities, globally, and the region. I want to take this opportunity of inviting all of the teams that are participating today, as well as any of the attendees, to join the Mayo Clinic Innovation Exchange. Dr. Hale has kindly put the link in the chat box. I'd encourage you to take a look at the website. The Innovation Exchange is a remarkable asset for Mayo Clinic in an effort to really bring ideas to benefit people at scale as quickly as possible. Our commitment to our members, both internal and external, are to take an idea, and it doesn't matter where that idea occurs, both within our organization, within Mayo Clinic, or outside of Mayo Clinic's walls. But we are committed to taking that idea, nurturing it, and helping that idea move further along the pathway to commercialization so that ultimately it can be brought to reality to benefit people at scale as quickly as possible. We encourage you, please, to connect with the Innovation Exchange. It's a way of connecting with me personally and our team. And again, I just want to say thank you very much to the organizers, to the Office of Entrepreneurship for their incredible support in what they're doing. And again, congratulations to all of the teams that are competing today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bruce. All right, I would like to welcome up the professional judges, Marlon, Perry, Julie, and Brian. And Dr. Bruce, you can turn your microphone and camera off, and we will talk to you later. Thank you so much. Like he mentioned, there is a link in the chat if you would like to get involved with the Innovation Exchange at Mayo. There are also people here that'd be more than willing to talk with you during the networking session of the event. Don't forget to use the Slido link to vote for your most persuasive mid-level reelers pitch. All right, judges, welcome. Julie, would you like to introduce yourself first?
Happy to. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Julie Henry. I'm one of the Senior Director of Operations for Mayo Clinic Ventures. Our office is responsible for Mayo Clinic's intellectual property. We handle all of the patenting, licensing, and startup companies that are associated with Mayo IP.
Wonderful. Thank you. Brian?
Sure. Hi, folks. Brian Clark. I've been with Boston Scientific for 15 years. I'm a senior manager in global technology and services. Done a lot of work in the R&D space and assessing early stage opportunities over the years. Really excited to participate and hear the great pitches today. Thank you.
Thank you. Marlon?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Marlon Cush, Senior Associate General Counsel at United Health Group, wherein I help support a suite of global businesses. Excited to be here today. I've been part of Mayo's entrepreneurship class, where I serve as a mentor to a number of teams there, and just looking forward to good presentations.
Thank you. And Perry?
I'm Perry Hackett. I've been a professor in genetics and cell biology for 41 years now at the University of Minnesota. I have 3 startup companies, and I think I've only missed one walleye event.
Well, we are so grateful to have all of you. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us and supporting the teams. To kick off the professionals, we would like to bring up Innova Illumination. Roger, go ahead, turn on your camera and your microphone. Judges, you can mute yourself, and Jess will let you know when the questions can begin.
Can you see us? Are we on?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Roger Heegert. I'm the CEO and President of Innova Illumination. I'm not sure we're sharing it. I apologize.
Well, we can't see your screen yet.
Okay.
But we do hear and we do see you.
Oh, good. Okay, we can't see our own screen here, so. You want to get the? Can you make it full screen, John? That's fine. Can you see our screen?
We do. You can go ahead and put it into presentation mode.
All right. Thank you. Here we go. Oh, great. I already introduced myself. I want to introduce Don Kaiser, our Chief Innovation Officer. Our vision is that we design and develop the most innovative and highest performing illumination and visualization products in the market. And our purpose is to improve surgical performance and medical outcomes. In short, we help doctors see better so they can perform better. We were incorporated in 2010. We're privately held. We're a C Corp with 80 shareholders, most of them doctors. We have a highly experienced executive and board of directors. We have 3 patents issued, 5 trademarks, 6 trademarks pending. Our partner company, MetaThink, has 12 patents filed and 8 issued. We're about 29 people. From 2009 to 2019, we had revenue growth of 22%. And despite COVID last year, we grew 25%. In that same year, we entered into 2 international strategic partnerships, one with a company in South Korea, and we'll be talking about that, and one in China. Most excitingly, during that same year, we entered into exclusive distribution and private label negotiations. We'll be signing that agreement next week or the following week with one of the largest medical device companies in the world. It's a publicly held US-based multinational medical device company. Here's our growth over the last 10 years. And we have 4 product lines. Prongs 1 and 2 are our foundational product lines. 3 and 4 are our breakthrough product lines. Prong 1 is our surgical headlights, and that's the one that we're entering into this large distribution agreement with the company I just mentioned. And I'll be talking about 2, 3, and 4 as we go forward here. Surgical, let me just go back. Prong 2 is loops, lights, and micro cameras. We make those here in our facility in Minneapolis. Prong 3 and Prong 4 are our breakthrough products. What makes you unique with our 3D microscope is that it has monitoring, heads-up monitoring, and telemedicine capabilities. The heads-up monitoring is what we'll be talking about in Prong 4. This technology has continuous zoom magnification versus step. It has an integrated 3D and 2D camera. And the exciting thing is it has these extra viewer options. The heads-up monitoring allows the doctor not to be bound to the binoculars of the microscope. They can see through the lenses and see also other monitors at the same time, and the smart glasses capabilities for telemedicine. It has a substantial price advantage over our competitors Zeiss and Leica. Here's the real breakthrough that we're seeking capital for, and this is the heads-up monitoring. Don's showing it right now. It's both wired and wireless. It has the widest field of view at 40 degrees. It is compatible with all medical imaging devices, including 3D, and it's currently being evaluated by Intuitive with the Da Vinci, Medtronic, Siemens, Philips, Olympus, and NuVasive. The extension of the scope eye.
Hey, Don, can I stop you for just a second? Sorry, your slides aren't going forward. And so, but you can keep going from where you are. We'll hold the timer for just a second, but your slides aren't advancing.
I'm not sure why. I'm pushing the button here. Apologize for that. Oh, crap.
There you go. We see prong.
You seeing prong 4 now?
Yes, we see prong 4 now.
Okay, let's just try this again. So prong.
This is fine.
Okay, apologies. Prong 3 was the scope eye. I'm sorry, our microscope. Prong 4 is our extension into this monitoring devices. Can you go to prong 4? And that's the scope eye that Don was wearing. Were you able to see that with Don wearing it? Or
yes.
Not? Okay. So that's a device that's being currently monitored by those companies that I just talked about. The extension of the scope eye is what we call our e-loops, Don. And that is going to be the first breakthrough in loop technology in over 500 years. It has digital magnification up to 16 times, adjustable depth of field, auto stabilization, and image storage and transmission. So the advantages and benefits of this breakthrough technology that we're talking about is that it can simultaneously transmit the same image to 5 scope eyes like Don is wearing. It can transmit 3D and 2D images with less than 100 milliseconds of delay or latency. It has a 40-degree field of view. Ergonomically, it has huge benefits to doctors in that it provides heads-up surgery and reduces fatigue and maximizes efficiency and improves patient outcomes. The educational purposes are incredible, with up to 50 devices simultaneously, so students can see what the professors are actually trying to teach them, and the broad applications that I've already referred to in almost all markets of monitored medicine. This is our market opportunity. We did 2.5 million last year. We'll do 4 this year, 6, 9, 12, and hopefully 18 in the next 3 to 5 years. The global market opportunity in AR and VR is massive. I don't need to tell you that. Goldman Sachs and McKinsey is estimating it between $5 and $7 billion. Our last slide is our value propositions. We believe that the products that we're creating are addressing pressing needs for doctors, specifically in the area of ergonomics and function. We have innovative products that are breakthrough. We have a strong IP portfolio. We've shown consistent growth over the last 10 years. We're projected to do 50% growth going forward. We've entered into 2 joint venture relationships in the last year. We talked about the vast market opportunities up to $7 billion in AR/VR. We've entered into this exclusive distribution agreement that we'll sign in the next week or 2. In the last 5 years, we've raised 5 rounds of financing, $6.7 million through angel investors, most of them in this Twin Cities area. And we are now seeking $2 to $3 million to continue this last part of our real growth or development of the smart glasses and sales of those products.
Thank you. Judges, we have 30 seconds left.
Oh, because the
total maximum time.
Judges, go ahead and turn off your microphones if you have any questions.
Maybe you can turn off the.
I want to keep sharing it until they tell me that.
So I'm sorry that I missed the first few slides that probably may have given more of a context, but what's a comparable company that you're going to be going up against, I guess, against which we can measure your chances of success?
Sure. I think the best examples right now are Augmetics. Augmetics raised $36 million last year, or $10 million last year, and $36 million about a month ago. Augmetics is a device similar to the ScopeEye, and yet it's tied to some navigation technology. And we believe in our discussions with many of those companies that I've already identified that we can leapfrog Augmetics. Our device is simpler. It's more, the visualization is broader with 40 degrees. The cost of our product is going to be between $5,000 and $10,000. The Augmetics product is about $50,000.
Thank you for your presentation. We'll move on to the next competitor.
Thank you. You guys can turn off your camera and microphone and stop sharing your screen. And I would like to bring up Anders for Remastered Sleep. Hey, Anders, you're up.
Thank you, Rena.
Go ahead. You can share your screen.
Do you introduce me or do I introduce myself?
Go ahead, share your screen, and I will introduce the snoring man on Remo this afternoon.
Sorry, I thought I was sharing already. Give me 1 second. Can you see it?
Anders Olmanson is the CEO for Remastered Sleep. His company's mission is to make healthy easy. They're doing that through the world's first water bottle that fights the obnoxious snoring you just heard.
Thank you, Rena.
The time is good.
So imagine if you had to listen to that sound every night. Well, 47 million US adults snore chronically. Not only does this hurt partners' sleep, but it can also be an indicator of obstructive sleep apnea, for which 80% of cases are undiagnosed. This has societal costs estimated at $150 billion US each year due to increased comorbidities, increased workplace accidents, and lost productivity. It's time for a change. So we've got the Remplenish water bottle, a wellness device designed to reduce the risk of snoring and tiredness through exercise. In our summer 2020 usability study, 93% of snorers saw improvement in their snoring, and an additional 34% of those snorers saw improvement in tiredness, such as getting better quality sleep, less fogginess and morning headaches, and reduced awakenings in the middle of the night. So how does this work? Well, snoring is produced by the vibrations of the soft tissues in the upper airway, so it creates sound, And obstructive sleep apnea is the more severe case where the airway collapses, restricting airflow. Well, what if we just target the soft palate, throat, and tongue muscles to tighten them up with exercise? Well, studies have shown myofunctional therapy or upper airway exercises to reduce snoring by 50% or greater and obstructive sleep apnea from moderate to mild. So this is awesome. However, it's hard enough exercising normal muscles regularly, let alone muscles of the mouth and throat. So what we've done is we've simplified these exercises down to the tongue suction, tongue press, and increased daily swallows, and combined it with the biologically driven action of drinking water. So the workout, all it is drinking water. Now, compared to other snoring solutions, we're better and cheaper. Our product tries to address some of the underlying conditions that cause snoring, compared to other snoring solutions tend to mask the symptoms. Compared to traditional myofunctional therapy, we've greatly reduced the burden from having to practice these exercises for 15 to 20 minutes a day. For ours, you just have to drink 1 or 2 replenished water bottles. And we're coming at a price point of $54.95, which is very affordable compared to our competition. So we launched our product in December of 2020, and we've already ramped up to $7,500 in monthly sales last month. And we've sold nearly 400 units total, both direct to consumer and to healthcare professionals. Our current focus is on snorers and with partners. Then we're going to move into the obstructive sleep apnea market, where once we get some more clinical data and show efficacy, and eventually we see our product helping most people, whether it's through preventative use or as a tool to assist speech therapy, or even in beauty aspects. So you can tighten up these muscles to become more attractive. And people actually use it for that. So we've got a great core team. We got myself and Gunnar Honnefield as co-founders. Then we've got Tyler Norman and Evan Molitor as R&D and manufacturing engineers. Then we got a great team of advisors in dentistry, speech therapy, myofunctional therapy, and business. So if you suffer from snoring, check out our product. We have a risk-free 60-day money-back guarantee, and tell your friends. If you're a healthcare professional, reach out to us if you're interested in selling our product in your clinic, and we're looking for partners on future OSA clinical studies. Thank you.
Thank you. Judges, we have 2 minutes.
Can you speak to how you sell the device today?
Yeah, so we sell it through our website online, and we mostly advertise through social media, and we have a big organic word of mouth spread as well. So people that get success tell other people. So yeah, that's how we mostly do it. And then we also sell it, to different clinics who sell it to their patients. Mm.
Anders, how did you come up with the percentages that you showed there of the efficacy? Were you measuring, your water bottle against others, or were you measuring? How did you measure that trial?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that was part of our usability study. So we didn't have a control population, so that's a limitation. However, the people that were in that study, so they did report, the reductions in snoring, and then we've followed up after. So there's the reductions plus, if they stop using the device for a period of time, the improvements will, decline. And if they start using it again, it comes back. So it's kind of like a switch, so you can turn it on and off if you're using the product. And also we had some pretty strong qualitative data on the tiredness side. So some people described waking up every 1 to 2 hours to go to the bathroom throughout the night. Then after using our product for a month, they would describe waking up after 5 to 6 hours or 6 to 7 hours of full sleep. So these are pretty strong data from qualitative. But yeah, our study has limitations, and we want to address that through future studies that we'll conduct. Mm-hmm.
10 seconds left.
How do you protect your IP?
Yes, we have a non-provisional patent filed for the U.S. and PCT on the myofunctional therapy nozzle.
All right. Thank you for your presentation. We'll move on to the next competitor.
All right, Laplace Interventional is up next, and you can go ahead and turn your camera and microphone on. And let's see how this goes. Perfect. All right, go ahead and share your screens.
Can you see my screen?
Dr. Iyer, for Laplace Interventional, I'm going to let you go ahead and start. We're running a little behind.